After a two-finger surprise from the bulls, have the bears now laid down to accept their fate? Or was it the bears' plan all along to give us a taste of their secret sauce? As Bitcoin has broken out exactly of this mega falling wedge, the 50-day moving average is currently being tested, while the first higher high has been printed on Bitcoin's chart in weeks, and multiple key Linguini resistances have fallen by the wayside. But what comes next will surely leave a glimmer in your eye and a wowzers in your trousers. I'm your host, Sean Schartz, and what I'm about to show you isn't just big, it is in fact really big. And guys, we have a lot to be jumping into today, as we're actually going to be getting a new weekly candle in just mere moments. Very, very big, very exciting, as we had some pretty interesting Thursday and Friday price action that did continue throughout the weekend. And over the last couple of days, we've seen some very exciting things play out, but are we getting too excited too fast? Or in fact, is this something that we need to be looking for, watching for, because it actually is a very, very big signal? So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, turn this to miss these absolute time-sensitive alerts. And without any further ado, let's jump in. So guys, as well, a lot of people have been talking about, is $100,000 still possible? And we have currently still, at this moment, we have 5 full months of price action for Bitcoin. And I tweeted earlier just about how Bitcoin went on a near 500% rally in less than 5 months. And so something like that is not too inconceivable. $100,000 per Bitcoin at the exact time of this video would only be roughly about a 200% increase. So those kind of numbers have been put up by Bitcoin before. And another thing people talk about a lot is manipulation. Which, does Bitcoin and the crypto market have manipulation? Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'm not sure if there is a market that exists that is not manipulated in some way. But who is more likely than anyone else to be participating in manipulation? Well, most likely it would be whales. And again, this is a story I don't think anybody's surprised about. But over the last few months, there was some selling by whales at very high price levels, around 60K, and a lot of buying at 30K. And in fact, the chart actually represents this very nicely, as 30K has been defended multiple times over the past 2 months, specifically as massive dumpage was coming in. But according to this article here, Bitcoin whales have accumulated over 3 billion worth of Bitcoin when its price was ranging close to 30,000, ultimately dipping below that mark before recovering. Here we have some nice on-chain metrics by Will Clemente about whales buying the fear, and they've now added almost 100,000 Bitcoin in the last 3 weeks. And as well, this, according to BitInfo charts, there's a whale that has been accumulating between 30 to basically 40K after selling at 63K and 54K. 90% of that current activity is receiving, meaning that he's currently accumulating. And you can see some of these levels where he had sold. And you can see, basically where those sells are were right before dips, potentially even causing those dips as well. And now you can see where a lot of these levels have been defended. This is the past 2 months. This is around May 19th when we had that initial move to about 28,000. And if we switch over to the weekly chart, you can just see it being defended here. Huge. We have the 50-week there. Again, just a very significant thing as well. I'm absolutely keeping my eye on the MACD, as I saw this back in kind of the middle of April. And for me, at least, was one of the earliest signs, oh boy, could this actually turn into a massive dump? But at the time, we actually did get a little bit of a pullback, and myself and I think many other people thought, okay, maybe that'll do the trick. But in fact, it did not do the trick. And obviously, it came down a lot more than that. So with that being said, we're starting to see this really cool down a little bit and see momentum kind of get ready for a potential opposite move, okay? Instead of dumpiness, upside moves. And again, as I've been saying, there have been pumps over the last 2 months. It's not like Bitcoin has only gone down. I would say, to be honest, 75% of it has been going down. And there's maybe like 1/4 where Bitcoin has had moves, okay? There are pumps. There have been pumps, but they have been very, very weak. And typically, when I've seen this in the past, this is just something that you see Bitcoin kind of quiet and gear up before a big move to the upside. Now, when will that be? Great question. But I think there are a lot of things pointing to the idea that potentially we're already in the middle of experiencing that right now. Well, so 3 days ago when we talked about Bitcoin at around 32,000, we talked about this falling wedge, and it is still on, in the middle of this breakout. And this is huge for a lot of reasons. So one, we actually set a new higher high. The previous high was right here around July 12th, about 13 days ago. And overnight, we actually slightly broke that. When I went to bed, it was actually, I think, underneath it. But we actually did put in a slightly higher high here. Similar to the move we had back on June 16th, only a month after the massive dump. But yeah, obviously it was still, at this point, it was way too early for Bitcoin to start reversing. But now the question is, are we now in the middle of reversing? Have we had enough downside? Have we had enough support build up at 30K that Bitcoin is comfortable enough to make a move to the upside? And basically everything screams yes, except there are some reasons you could say no with technical analysis. But at this moment, technical analysis is shaping up to also be saying yes. I think that's the last kind of full confirmation, because fundamentally, on-chain data, everything is extremely bullish for Bitcoin, even as Bitcoin was crashing here. I mean, guys, basically every other day there's some new adoption, some new news for Bitcoin, and we cannot discount just how bullish the fundamentals are for Bitcoin. Does the price of Bitcoin react immediately with fundamentals? No. Absolutely not. There is always a delay. So that's something you have to factor in. Typically a culmination of bullish things and even bearish things. They don't necessarily move the price immediately. But let's say a month from now, Bitcoin is blasting through 50, 60K and potentially heading to new all-time highs. And people are saying, well, why? Why did that happen? I think a lot of people are going to look back on these charts and be like, well, yeah, of course. We had a massive downtrend. We were still within the middle of a massive bull run. Got a little dumpier than a lot of people expected. However, for the most part, the cycle remained intact. So what's happening now is we're battling the 50 DMA, which we've been here for a day or two. And the longer we can even just maintain these levels and get a few daily closes here, the better. I don't necessarily think it matters too much if we have a massive pump within the next 5 minutes or so, which I do think, though, is going to be very much on the horizon if we can cement this. But the one thing we have not been able to do this entire dump, which began, I guess, all the way back at all-time highs around April 15th, where ultimately, exactly 1 month later, initiated the mega dump, from about the 50 to 60K range, or the high 50 to low 60K range, right about here on May 10th to where May 19th, absolutely dumping. The one thing we have not been able to do since then, well, there's been a lot of things, but a major thing we haven't been able to do is reclaim the 21-day moving average. And like I said in my last video, this is the first time we've even touched the 50-day moving average since we started dumping. The last time we touched the 50-day moving average, Bitcoin was at almost $60,000. So yesterday was the very first day that we touched it. And currently right now we're just trying to hold there. So I'm currently actually impressed that we did not get immediately rejected off there. That's something we should look for over the next few days, especially as we get this new weekly open as Monday rolls around. Going to be very big for Bitcoin to see, because even if we would get a rejection here and come down to the 21-day, let's say we held that, that's very, very good as well. But I think a lot of people will get bearish, because what does that mean? Oh, another $2,000-$3,000 price drop. People immediately will become bearish. But in the wider context, that could, again, just be a necessary component of making this reversal, which I think at this point is something absolutely worth paying attention to. I think it's very likely that what we're seeing is just that. So we have those two huge moving averages, which I think obviously are absolutely critical. The point of control actually is around almost 33,000, right exactly where the 21-day is, right here. So we're above that. So again, that's a big level that we've not really been able to get a lot of momentum above, and we've been above it now for 3 days. So we want to see if this can continue here. Again, if we do get a little bit of a dumpy move, again, that can still be within a wider context, very bullish breakout. And again, even with this type of pattern, as I said when we talked about this before it broke out 3 days ago, if we do get a back test, let's say we even go below 32 or down to 32 again, if we can hold that and cement that, that can initiate, or that can be a really big confirmation to where we can break above a lot of these key levels. Because again, if we go to these short-term charts as well in the hourly, you can see all of these key fettuccine levels. You can see they were not easy to break through. You can see many times we tested them for hours and hours and hours before making moves above them. But so far, we have been making the moves above them and not getting rejected. But as well, a big thing to note, guys, this is the really big test, because I will get very, very, very bullish in the short term if we break this level. And this is something I've been talking about for a while. Everyone's very aware of it. 35 to, well, let's say 36 to 37,000 is huge. And there's probably going to be some resistance there. So if Bitcoin breaks that, again, I think that's a scenario where we can see a lot of volume pour in, because we've not seen a lot of volume just yet. I think a lot of people are slowly maybe trying to start to shift bullish, but they're just hesitating, as am I at this point. Okay, I'm not getting full on bullish just yet. Breaking this 36 to 37. Okay, for example, if you're out picking some pickles in your garden, you take out your phone and you see Bitcoin at 37,000, yeah, then I would get excited, okay? If we actually can get above 37, that is huge. At this moment, again, we still have some upside momentum over the last few days, but it's slowly working its way up there. Nothing super, super bullish has happened just yet. But yeah, if we can make that move up to there and actually break 36, 37 and cement that as support, then boy, oh boy, the sky is the limit. And things can happen so fast. As with Bitcoin, they do. Okay, for example, Bitcoin could be held under some massive resistance with only a month or two left of 2021. And then we can see all of the price action you would have dreamt of in that 1 or 2 months. Okay, so Bitcoin gets insanely explosive, and most of the biggest moves happen in the shortest amount of time. I mean, for example, if you look at any chart, that's perfectly illustrated. Like, most of the chart, for the most part, is sideways or stair-stepping up or going down a little bit. And then the giant crashes and the giant moves up, those are consolidating into just a very short amount of time. Is 5 months enough for enough things to play out and to include a Bitcoin move above 6 digits? 100%. That is a 100% possibility. There is by far enough time within the next 5 full months that is a possibility. And yeah, at this moment, I'm actually impressed with Bitcoin. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 so far green days for Bitcoin. And yeah, it's been breaking some of the most technical things over the last 2 months that we have not been able to break, mainly these key moving averages, but also the structure. And after we've put in a nice pattern over the past 2.5 months, which I believe this is a falling wedge pattern with a breakout target above 40K. Again, I think this could play out over a week, week and a half, 2 weeks. Not going to play out by tomorrow. Okay, I doubt we're going to be at 40K within the next 24 hours. However, this is so far a very, very good start, and we're seeing momentum come back into the market. The one thing we don't really have to wait for is fundamentally bullish news, because we already have it. Everything is fundamentally bullish. Basically, everyone's just waiting for these charts to really just show us that Bitcoin has the excitement, the exuberance, the hype behind it to make that next move and potentially reclaim some of these gigantic technical levels. Because again, like I said, gigantic technical resistance is going to be around that $36,000, $37,000 range. Next higher high to break as well is right about 36,000. So again, breaking above 36 is huge. Breaking above 37, then I think it's time to get excited. Well, so if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit those likes, subscribes, turn on the community to these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. If you're interested in earning APY, TA trading, anything like that, make sure to check out the bonuses in the description below. But without any further ado, that's it for me. Bye-bye.